So let's move on to our heart of today's discussion, how to maximize profits with buy-to-let investment and student accommodation property investments today and also going forward, because we're approaching the end of the year now. So we're going to be looking at different strategies. We're going to be looking at, different locations. We'll also be talking about occupancy. We'll be talking about success models and what 2024 holds for us, and good practices that we could actually use in our investment strategy, or if you're just starting, how you can start using it right from the get-go. And mindset, very important part, and probably a critical thing going forward. And so we're going to unpack that as well. And then at the end of the webinar, we're going to offer you some awesome opportunities for you to learn more and to engage and to educate you. And we've got some specials that we're going to be throwing at you. So we'd love you to obviously look. It's Black Friday tomorrow after all, so definitely. So without further ado, I'm going to ask our guest panelists. Rita, do you want to introduce yourself? I think you're not a stranger to our audiences here today. So maybe just give us a little bit of background about yourself for those who have not met you before.
Hi, everybody. My name is Rita van Rooyen, and I am the founder and CEO of My Student House. It is. We own our own portfolio, and we also manage properties for other landlords, and we specialize really in helping getting people started in student accommodation. Whether it's big buildings or smaller houses, properties, things like that. So that's what we do, and we are all over the country. We're in 4 provinces right now, and looking to expand because we have such a big passion for students and everything around that. And people are like, we don't know how you do it. How do you deal with that? Well, we love it. So if you don't want to do it anymore, let me know, okay? I'll do it for you. And also, I wrote a book called Creating Wealth with Student Accommodation in South Africa. And that is, I think, also part of today at some point. And that's just if you want to know where to start. How does the numbers work? Where do you look? How do you find students? Everything from end to end is in the book as well.
Wonderful.
So I hope I said everything.
No, you did. Don't worry, Rita. I think you're going to say some more just now. So if you did miss something, I'll just make a note. You can say it later. Okay, great. Jaco, great having you on board as well. I think you're also not a stranger to some of the audience. For those who don't know, just tell us about yourself to our audience today.
Great. Good afternoon to the audience. And it's such a privilege to be with you today and to chat with you today about how to maximize profits through buy-to-let and student accommodation property investment. So my name is Jaco Grobler. I'm the founder and managing director of Prosperity Enterprises. Now, we are an education, structuring and property investment business. We teach people how to invest in property with seminars all over the country that we host. We also help people with their structuring to make sure that their trust and company structures are right. We look after those structures. In other words, we administer it. We take care of financial statements, the tax returns, all of that. So we take care of property investment entities. And then we really walk a journey with our clients to help them as property investors to build their property portfolios. I'm also an author. The book that I've written is called Prosperity Through Property, and it's a South African guide to investing in property, helping you to build your property investment portfolio right here in South Africa.
That's wonderful. Great stuff. Thanks, Jaco. Great having you again on the webinar. And so we're gonna start off with Rita, because, and I'm gonna ask you a very similar question, because we've got an pending interest rate increase for MPC sitting this afternoon around about 2:30. They announce it. And Jaco, just prior to start, he agrees we're probably going to hold rates, but we, forbid that, nothing else happens there. So certainly it hasn't been an easy year for many people, but when you turn it upside down, because we mentioned we're talking about mindset. So first of all, I'm going to start off with you, Rita. And sorry, Jaco, it's ladies first. I don't know what, let's tell us about 2023. I mean, how it was for you, because I know you've done a lot of interesting things in a market that's really tough, and it just gives people a different way of looking and approaching when they are looking to invest. So tell us about your 2023. And I think you had a very good year. You had a growth year. So a lot of people do grow when times are tough. So which is great to see. Tell us about that, and maybe give people some inspiration, some drive in looking into next year.
Okay. Yeah, I think, it was a tough year for most people, and especially people with bonds. Okay, because I think that interest rates, every time there's an announcement coming up, everybody just holds their breath a little bit and think, flip, where am I going to get that money from? But I think in the student space, I personally, because of the way we buy and the numbers we do, I always say my formula is 10 students to a million. Okay, so for every 1 million that you spend, you have to be able to put 10 students in the property, to 2 million 20, just in terms of that formula. And what I've seen is where people have really stuck to that, they didn't really suffer so much in terms the interest rates and things didn't really affect them that much. And also with the load shedding, with the electricity prices going up, our landlords, we've identified energy saving mechanisms. We have some new partnerships with people that really does energy management now, not just like slapping solar panels on your roof. That's not energy management, but really seeing how do you save money on those fronts as well. And those guys that have implemented that and that stuck to that formula, they have really been, not really that much affected by all of this. Where the guys have been, it's money. I'm learning school fees, what. They are in a much tighter position where they're still in a profitable position, but now it's just getting a little bit more tight, and they're a little bit more stressed about cash flow in the months where we're waiting for the universities and NSFAS to pay. So they have definitely been more affected. But as long as you stick to the formula and you do your energy management, those guys have had a really good year, I think.
Okay, great. Okay, so nice way to start. Yaku, you come out and tell us about your 2023. What do you expect next year?
Right.
And share to the audience what they can get excited about.
I just want to reiterate this. I'm sure most of you know this, and I felt this, like Rieta said, if you've got bonds, but just from last year, January to now, interest rates have gone up with 4.75%. I mean, if you take that as a percentage increase of what interest rates were, we are close to about 100% increase in interest rates. So people with bonds have certainly felt the last 2 years have been extremely tough. And with many property investment strategies, cash flow has also been very tough. A lot of people have had a manageable shortfall in their property portfolio, and suddenly that shortfall has gone out of proportions, and suddenly they find themselves in a position where they can't manage the shortfall that they have anymore. So 2023 has definitely forced us to think out of the box, Neil, and to think differently about our property investments and how we can repackage these properties in such a way that we can not only survive but thrive. And that's I think the unfortunate thing about life is often things have to get bad, things have to get tough to make an adjustment, to change the way that you are doing things, to look differently at things. And I think that is what 2023 has been for us as a group, and also for many of my clients, looking at the macroeconomic environment, looking at GDP being very slow in South Africa. I mean, it's projected for GDP this year to be 0.9%. Hopefully to grow a little bit. Next year. But it has been a tough economy out there. But one thing that I've been telling my clients is to stop being so dependent on the macro economy and on interest rates, and start building your property portfolio in such a way that you can thrive irrespective of what is happening in the economy, irrespective of what is happening politically in the country, irrespective of what is happening with the interest rates. Now, obviously, interest rates affect your cash flow directly, but what can you do to survive and thrive in this time? Can you change the purpose of your property? Could you convert a normal property into a student house? Could you convert a long-term rental property to a short-term rental property, such as an Airbnb? Could you maybe, instead of renting out an entire house, rent out rooms in the house? What can you do to improve your cash flow on the property so that you can survive and thrive in this environment that we are in now? So I've got great expectations for 2024. Neil, as you have said, I do believe and I do hope that they do keep interest rates stable this afternoon, that they do keep it the same. Unfortunately, the latest inflation figures that came out was from 5.4% in September up to 5.9% in October. So our target range in South Africa is 3 to 6%. And we are on the upper edge, 5.9%. Luckily, we are still within that bracket. And for that reason, I hope that the Reserve Bank decides to keep interest rates the same this afternoon. But many do believe that interest rates will slowly start to decline next year, which is a good thing for cash flow, which is a good thing for bond repayments. But we can also see on all indicators that things are turning for the better. Tenants are paying better. Rental escalations have gone up for 7 quarters now in a row, with rental escalations being almost 5% now, which is fantastic. So there's a lot of good things happening. There's a lot of things that's looking like it's turning. So we've got an extremely optimistic outlook for 2024. And then lastly, I think it is a time like this where a lot of people are nervous, where a lot of people are thinking of selling their properties or getting to a stage where they either can't afford their properties anymore or where they feel that there's not decent return in their properties. It's in a time like this, ladies and gents, where it really makes sense to start acquiring property and to start building your property portfolio when everybody else is selling and when everybody else is fearful. That's it from me for now, Neil.
Wonderful. I think it's a good introduction there, Yaku. And, I've been, it's talking to so many people in the industry. In fact, we had a webinar on Tuesday and it was more about the distressed market. And a lot of people, panic. And you look at sort of, how many people are in distress and you say, well, wow, what actually happened? And and that just demonstrates it's been really a tough year in the economy. I think that those things, and I think you've got to turn everything on its head and you've got to review what you're doing and what activities you're doing all the time. I think you've got to keep active. I think you've got to keep creative, and I don't think you've got to stop. So Rita, that for me sort of describes you, because you're always doing something new and creative all the time. It's not a matter of that you've done something and you actually sit back. In the United States of America, pertaining to people that fail many times, it's almost that they only look at people that have failed probably 2 or 3 times, and have actually been made bankrupt. Bankruptcy is actually an indicator of success in America. And I would say in South Africa, we kind of turn it around and say, no, we're an absolute failure. We once we're done and out, that's it. I'm going to walk away. So tell us about what you do. I mean, in time, just so that we can inspire people into action and also get them ready for next year. And I think Yaku did a very nice introduction into that. But let's take it one step further in terms of and what you have done and what you are doing specifically in the student accommodation space.
Yeah. So I think we have literally since we opened our doors, we've doubled our student numbers every single year. So it's not just over the last 4 or 5 years we've doubled. No, it's every single year. And right now we already have double the numbers that we were this year. We've got those landlords in bed signed up for next year, and I already have half of it full. So it's like, I don't even know where am I going to get more beds for all of the extra students that I know will come next year for the first years and all of that. So it's a really, really exciting time. But I think also that I find that in student accommodation space, we forget that it's all about the margins and the money and all of that, and also about cost management, because, oh, I've got 30 students and, I now need to cut on costs. So I'm not going to give this, I'm not going to give that. And people are forgetting that you can turn it around and you can do very, very nice things that means a lot to the students. They are your clients. So how do you create a better experience for them? And in the process, you attract students from other places to come and stay with you. And these are very, very non-expensive things. And that's what we've been doing and implementing across the board. So we've got like a huge annual events calendar for next year, but it's events like Park Run. Okay, we had some students that we took with us on a park run. I just do it anyway, so I'm like, who wants to come? And whoop, everybody gets onto the bus, and there we go. And one of our students actually got 7th in the whole run. I was number 445. Okay, just to give you an idea. So it's those kind of things that you can do that doesn't cost you anything really. It's just time to organize and arrange that sort of thing. We've done some other innovative things that you don't see very often, or maybe that people do it, but they don't talk about it. We've had an awards evening on Friday last week. Now, I just want to share some pictures that, and it really is, I want to almost, because today is Thanksgiving, I want to almost say that, for me, it was like a Thanksgiving dinner, because that's how it turned out to be. It was about our staff saying thank you to the students for the good ones, the guys that really excelled and helped and showed leadership skills throughout the year, and it's saying thank you to them. We got a message from one of the students saying that they showed the certificate to their parents, to their mother, and she was in tears. She was so happy to see her child actually got, and all it really is just acknowledgement for what you have done. Thank you for helping us throughout the year. Because we're always just about punishment and they're transgressing the rules and how we're going to punish them. But also there's the other part of it, which is the reward part. And in the process as well, we said to them, give us a highlight from your year. And I was expecting all kinds of parties and this, and I did that and whatever. And every single student that were there, they stood up and they said, thank you for my house mother. Thank you for what you have done. Thank you for the support you gave me throughout the year when I was feeling down. I had personal issues. You stepped up and you helped. And for me, that means so much. And everybody, there was not a dry tear at that event because everybody was just so happy to hear that feedback. And just, it was such an amazing experience. So I almost want to next year have it on Thanksgiving, and we'll call it also the awards and Thanksgiving dinner, because that was so cool. So I just wanted to just share like just a couple of pictures from that, because I thought it was actually so amazing. So you see here, these people cooking, that's actually my staff, right? So how amazing is that? They went and they cooked the whole morning. Before, this is Barbara and Joy. There they were busy setting up the venue. We've got like this is a student house actually. We have about 30 odd students in this place. This is one of our students. He's helping to set up, and they're trying to figure out the lights. Mm-hmm. And then here's, so it was a formal, so everybody had to dress up nice as best as they could and all of that. And this is one of the leaders then that stood up and, was saying, thank you for everything that was done over there. And then, so for me, that I think was a great experience. And also the other things we're doing, which I wasn't sure if it was going to take off, or is it going to work, is it not going to work, but we've had such good feedback. We did a pilot where we're doing vegetable gardens in the properties. So whoever adopts the garden, because I can't be there looking after a garden every day, But whatever student adopts the garden, they get to keep whatever they grow and harvest, right? So they get to keep the vegetables. They can eat it. They can sell it. I will buy it, by the way. They can sell it. They can trade it. They can donate it, because we also promote giving back in our where we are. And all of these things ticks a lot of boxes when it comes now back to the money and the client part. We are dealing with Gen Z people, young people, right? And all of that, the giving back, the social aspect is very, very important for them. So what experiences are we creating for these students while they're living with you? Like I say, it's very inexpensive things. It doesn't have to cost you a lot, but it creates a much better experience for them to want to stay on. And not just that, but creating better human beings, guys. We need that, right, in this country. So I said to them at the end of my speech on the awards dinner, I said to them, can somebody in this group please just become the next president? Because then I know that we'll be good, you know. And it was just really, really an awesome evening. Sorry, I talk a lot about these things. You must stop me.
No, it's all good. I want to get us back onto the, maximizing profits on buy to let. And I think it's very nice to, we've got to realize that obviously we've got our clients and we have to give value back to them. So coming to you, Yaku, I mean, where's the property market going, and how can we maximize our profits on buy to let sort of going forward? And I know that both of you have got some specials at the end. I know we saw a little glimpse of your bus tour there, Rita, which you're going to be offering, and it was very popular. So we are looking at the 8th of December in Cape Town, which we will offer to you, and I can recommend it. It's highly recommended, massive discount, including accommodation for 1 night. So Yaku, I want you now, you also got some offers there, and I know you, the structure specialist, you also got a 1-day seminar, which is coming up, I think, on the 2nd December. That's in Johannesburg. And you've also giving it away virtually. You've given a huge discount. So, but coming back to the core, maximizing profits on buy to let.
Great. Okay, so how to maximize profits with buy-to-let property investment. So something that's very, very interesting for me at this stage is to look at the growth figures when it comes to property investment. So currently, property on average is growing with 3.84% in South Africa. 3.84%. That is already better than what it was last year, but what's very important, and I always tell my clients this, is when you're looking at your returns, when you are looking at how to maximize profits with your property investment, there are two things that you need to consider. You need to consider the value of your properties, because when those values appreciate, those are profits. It's unrealized, but it's still profits. So you need to look at your capital appreciation on your properties, and on the other side, you need to look at your rental yield. You need to look at what returns your properties are generating from a rental perspective, from a net rental yield perspective. And those two combined gives you your entire profit or your entire return for property investment. So it's very important when you look at property investment to consider both your capital appreciation as well as your net rental yields. So net rental yields in South Africa on sectional title properties, that's on about just over 10%, 10.18%. On full title properties, it's a bit lower on 6.95%. Now, what does that mean? Those are gross yields. So that means from a sectional title property, if you look at the market value of that property, 10.18% of that market value you would earn in a year in rentals. And a full title property, that would be 6.95%. Now, obviously, when you start changing up the strategy and finding more lucrative ways to generate better or to maximize profits, like going into short-term rentals, like turning your property into student accommodation, like doing room rentals, like doing multi-lets, you can obviously increase that gross rental yield significantly, which means that your rental income starts becoming a much larger percentage of your market value of that property. So that being said, we want to look at ways to maximize that cash flow. And that is something that we have really thought about a lot this last year or two, is how do we maximize cash flow? How do we increase our cash flow on a property? Is it possible to create a cottage or to build a cottage so that we can have extra rental income? Is it possible to convert a property from a vanilla long-term rental to something else, like a student house or a short-term rental or a room rental or a multi-let, so that we can generate more cash flow? And in those ways, maximize profits on your buy-to-let property investments. So that being said, your capital appreciation is very much out of your control. Yes, you can add value to the property, and that can increase the value of the property, but the appreciation of the market is completely out of your control. So that needs to be a bonus for you. That's obviously a great bonus. It's a great extra return that you can generate. I mean, if you have 10 properties of R1 million and they're all suddenly worth 1.1 million rand, that's a lot of equity that you've created. That's a lot of profit that you've created, but it is completely out of your control. And that is why you have to look at your rental yield, and you need to look at your cash flow to make sure that your cash flow is as good as possible. Now, Rita, what I loved about what you were saying is everything that you were speaking about is treating your tenants like a client, and your tenants are a client. I mean, the property business is a business like any other business. If you have investment properties, you are in effect owning a business, and your tenants are your clients. Now, often we don't treat tenants like clients. We treat them in a way of they just need to pay their rent, and we just got all these expectations of them, but we forget that they are actually our clients. And when we go out of our way to service them and to provide a great service for them, that also, like in any business, maximize the profits that you can generate from a buy-to-let property. So I think those are very, very important things to keep in mind when you are looking at your property portfolio and how you can maximize your profits when it comes to property investment. Now, when you talk about strategies, we've touched on that, or approaches, there's many different ways that you can increase the profits or the cash flow that you are having on a property. If you are young and you have a small property, you could be renting out the other room or the other rooms, and you could be generating additional income in that way. If you are living in your property, so in other words, it's a rent to live model, make sure that you are living in a property, number one, that you can afford, and number two, that has good investment characteristics, so that one day when you move out of that property, it can form part of your investment portfolio, and you can continue to generate profits and maximize profits through that property. Then you've got your buy to flip strategies. Those are people buying properties and selling them. That's, of course, a great way to make a lot of money quickly, but also a great way to lose a lot of money quickly. So when you are flipping property, you need to be very sure you know what you are doing, and that you are buying low, and that you are buying low, and that you are selling high. So I always tell my clients that wants to become developers or wants to do development, it's important that you start with a flipping strategy, because in effect, when you are flipping properties, you are becoming a small property developer. And that is, for many people, the beginning to property development. Maybe you buy a place, you sell it. You buy a place, you subdivide it, you build another place, you sell the two places. So if your dreams or aspirations are to go into property development and to maximize your profits through that, that's a great way for you to start. Then you've got your traditional buy-to-let. Now, I think this is where a lot of people have grown despondent, is with your traditional buy-to-let strategies. They've come to a point where they feel that this doesn't work and the returns are not worth it, because the rent that I'm receiving is not covering my bond, it's not covering my levies, it's not covering my rates and taxes, it's not even coming close. And with the interest rates that have gone up, it's more and more and more money that I have to push into this black hole that is sucking up all of my cash. I think that is how a lot of people are feeling about buy-to-let. And there's a couple of things that I want to mention there to you. The one that I was saying is you have to think out of the box. You have to start thinking, what else can I do with this property? Instead of a vanilla buy-to-let, is there something else that I can do? Can I rent the rooms out separately? Can I convert the property? Can I add cottages or units to the property to increase my rental? But that being said as well, I think a person must also keep in mind that properties are not going to continue with its low growth that we are seeing now forever. And there's a very specific reason why I'm saying that, because one of the great advantages of a buy-to-let strategy is that if you are letting property out, and even if you can just get close to break even, you can just cover costs out of your property investment. That property investment will appreciate in value over time, and eventually you will sit with a lot of equity, which can be converted into a lot of wealth or a lot of cash at a later stage. So one thing that I want you to keep in mind is that it's very possible for property prices to start growing quicker in the future. And the reason for that is because of the input cost. If you look at the input cost of property, that is your bricks and cement and steel, all the raw materials or all the materials that you need to build property, the labor to build the property, and the land. In the past decade, all of those costs have gone up substantially, yet property prices have not gone up substantially. So I strongly believe at some point there has to be a correction, and property prices need to start growing again quicker to catch up with the increase that we've seen in those input costs of property, which is raw materials, labor, and land. So I think that's a very, very important thing to keep in mind when you're looking at a buy-to-let strategy, that it's not just your cash flow that matters, but also the capital appreciation. Over to you, Neil.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much. It's not often that I disappear on a webinar, but unfortunately it was our service provider that just went down temporarily. But I think you've taken everybody through, I think, quite a detailed process. And I've really got the gist of it at the end. So, okay. So I think moving on to you, Rita, what I would like you to share with the audience is, and Jaco's given quite a detailed stuff on the market, and Jaco, I'm going to ask you about mindset just now. But Rita, before we get into mindset on your side, I want you to give probably some of your best advice for somebody who's either in student accommodation right now, or who is just wanting to get in. So maybe a combination of somebody who owns a property already, or somebody that wants to get into that market. What are some of the points? Now, you've written a book about this, Rita. So, I mean, you could go on forever, and I encourage everybody to obviously buy the book. And in fact, Jaco's also got a book too. And he's having a seminar. And in fact, Rita's got a bus tour, and she also runs seminars too. So given that background there, give us some of your best golden nuggets here. I mean, this is Thanksgiving Day. Give them your secrets that people can walk away with and go, wow, that worked for me.
Secrets. Okay. So I think for anybody wanting to start, it is quite daunting, and you need to decide what type of thing is it that you want to start with. And it does need a bit of cash from you for furniture and so on that you need to purchase. So people are very, very scared to start. And it's mainly the biggest question that I get is around, will I have students? Will I fill my property? And the answer to that is very simple, that demand everywhere has outstripped. I've had meetings with Stellenbosch University, with UWC, with all of the major universities in the Western Cape, Potch, NMU, and all of them, the available accommodation, there's a shortfall of 500,000 beds, guys, 500,000 beds right now of students that are not be able to stay in conducive accommodation anywhere, okay? 500,000, if you go and check, it's like, I think, I don't know if Bloemfontein has grown, but it's almost like the population of Bloemfontein, the whole of Bloemfontein. So that is, it's huge. And if you offer the right product, which is just the basics, you're not a slumlord, you provide the basic things, internet, electricity, a nice bed to sleep on, then you will have students. If your area is close to university, walking distance, you don't need to even think about, will I have students or won't I? And the other big question is, will I get paid? And with all of this NSFAS drama, and then you hear that the students are saying NSFAS is imploding, and then you hear all of these things, and it's these things that people are saying about the negative news that you see out there. It has been in the news for the last 7 years. Okay, every single year we see it, and every single year we get our money. So if you want to be sure that if you're one of those super risk averse people, and I always recommend that you have a second exit. Can I sell this property as a normal house to someone else? So don't put, for instance, bricks into dividing your rooms if you want to do that. Put drywall in that you can easily take out again, so you can convert it back. I'm working with a landlord now that's going to do 2,000 beds here in Cape Town, and his whole planning is around combining some of his apartments to maximize his income. But at the same time, we are also planning on how much is it going to cost, and how can I then convert my apartments back to have normal tenants, or to sell it to owner first-time affordable accommodation buyers. So he's planning already for in case he doesn't want to do it, or NSFAS implodes or whatever. So have an exit strategy, and that's basic 101 in terms of property investment, right? Jaco will tell you that, manage your risk, and that's a good way to do it. So don't do anything expensive that you can't undo in a cheap way. So that is definitely, one of the secrets that we always tell people. And then the formula, okay? The formula I've mentioned already, 10 to a million. It's tough, okay? Agents are going to tell you it's impossible, all right? But they don't look at it the way you look at it from a student point of view. So we buy like that all the time. So it's not impossible. You just need to look a little bit further. And then I think the third secret that I can tell you is that if you buy something, so wherever you go in any town, there's normally an area where you'll see houses that's been converted to businesses, like accounting, doctors' offices, but it's houses, right? If you take that, chances are they've got business rights, or they've got some kind of zoning that's been done to accommodate that business, or the council might have already updated for those streets. So go and hunt a property in those areas. It's normally also close to public transport, right? So your transport is sorted, your zoning is sorted. Businesses, they want offices, so your drywalling is sorted, okay? And now all you need to do is make sure that your bathrooms are sorted, because some of them have still their full bathrooms, some of them might only have toilets. And then you convert those to student accommodation. Number one, the prices are more reasonable, because they probably want to move out, or the place is empty because people are working from home now. So the price is really good. The conversion is easy because you're just looking at your bathrooms and potentially a kitchen if they remove that. But the rest of all the work is done. So those ones I absolutely love. And if I see that, I jump on it. It normally ticks my boxes in terms of my formula, and I'm just all over it. So those ones are also very easy to do. And yeah, so I think those are the three quick secrets that I can give. And then the best advice is just to really just start with something small. If a normal house that you don't do anything, you don't convert anything, you just put furniture in, try it out, see how it works. I've got some consultations. If you want to get in on that, I'll do that with you. I'll advise you. I can send you contacts to get your furniture done cheaply. We've got all of that, and I'm more than willing to share that with anybody.
Okay, wonderful, great. Okay, and then I'm going to ask Jaco just the same, because I know mindset's a big thing in your game, and it is for an investor, because it's easy to get positive and negative, and you know, and to be like a roller coaster. And I think you've got to have some kind of, you know, great mindset in this particular game. But what I want you to do, I think that's part of your armory of your best secrets. So I'm also going to ask you for the same question. What are your best secrets for somebody that wants to get into buy to let? And certainly I know you're also big on that mindset, story and structure and that kind of stuff. So maybe if you can share the audience, and then we'll jump into the questions, and then we'll get into the specials over there.
Right, ladies and gents, I want to encourage you this afternoon to begin with the end in mind. Ask yourself, first and foremost, where is it that I want to go with this thing? Where is it that I want to go with my property portfolio? So many people are investing in property, or they're buying up properties and renting them out or doing things, but they don't really know what it is that they want to achieve. So your starting point has to be, where am I going with this? What is it that I want to achieve by this? Do I want 200,000 Rand of passive income on a monthly basis? Do I want to build up a portfolio that's worth 100 million Rand? What is it that you want to achieve? Because that is your starting point. And once you've determined that, you can create a vision, and you can start looking at where it is that you want to go. Once that is determined, the most important thing that you can do is consistently to build towards that vision, towards that goal that you've set for yourself. And that is one of the mistakes that most people do, is they get excited, they do a lot of stuff, the excitement wears out, and they stop with whatever they were busy with, and they kind of just stagnate and they stay there. And that is probably the biggest mistake that property investors are making. You need to have a plan in place that you are working. So every single year I write down, how many properties do I want to buy this year? Because I've got a certain number of properties that I want to get to. How am I going to get there? How am I going to fund it? Okay, now I've reached a place where the banks don't want to finance me anymore. What can I do now? Can I partner up with somebody? Can I create a fund? Can I get funding? Are there other financial institutions that can finance me? Do I need to approach my way? Should I go commercial? Should I get investors in to fund the equity portion? Whatever it may be. But to every year look at, what can I do this year? What is it that I want to achieve? And then to consistently work towards that goal, irrespective of how you're feeling. Because you're not always going to feel excited. The market's not always going to look great. Things aren't always going to go according to plan. But if you've got that vision, if you've got that plan, and you consistently work towards that every day, slowly but surely, it's like the story of the tortoise and the hare that was racing, and the tortoise winning at the end of the day, just because of that consistently, slowly but surely moving towards the goalpost. And that's really what I want to encourage you about today. Now, that might be a little bit pie in the sky for some of you, so let's get to some more hardcore advice. Ladies and gents, property is about numbers, and you can hear that Rita knows the numbers. She immediately said 100,000 Rand per student, or R1 million for 10 students. So she's got the numbers, and in your investment strategy, you need to know what those numbers are. You need to know what does my gross yield need to be? What does my net rental yield need to be? What kind of capital appreciation can I expect on this property? And to work with those numbers and make sure that the investments that you make sense. Remember, the cost of capital, one of the things that we learned in our CFA in finance was what they call WACC, your weighted average cost of capital. Remember, your cost of capital currently is 11.75% for most of you if you get a prime interest rate loan. That means, ladies and gents, that if you want to make a worthwhile investment, your investment needs to generate now more than 11.75% return. So in other words, your capital appreciation on the property, as well as your rental yield that you are generating from that property, needs to be more than 11.75%. Otherwise, you are slowly moving backwards and you are slowly destroying capital. So make sure that you understand the numbers, that you know what you need to reach, and that you do reach those numbers. I think that is critically important, Neil, to keep in mind.
I think it's some really, really, really good advice here. I think some really, and it's I just cannot be, the numbers, got your plan in place, keep going at the plan. I mean, that is really, really great advice. And while as simple as it sounds, it's about the doing, isn't it? It's all about the doing at the end of the day. Absolutely. So I think that's the critical part. Okay, I see there's a few questions here that we want to deal with. I see most of them is directed at you, Rita. I mean, if there are questions that people would like to ask Jaco, please drop it into the Q&A box, because we are approaching the end part of our webinar. So I'm going to deal with a few questions quickly. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hand over to Jaco and then to Rita. They've got some specials for you today. And of course, because tomorrow is Black Friday, we obviously giving you an opportunity to engage and to work with Jaco, and also an opportunity to work with Rita. So yeah, look, there's some questions here, which not too difficult ones. I mean, the one, Rita, is, where can we find out more about energy management? I mean, it's a big subject at the moment. I think there's so many different companies, doing solar and doing energy and that kind of stuff. And maybe, Jaco, you also possibly, I'm not sure whether you've included that, but Rita, from your side, you mentioned the energy management upfront. Where can we find out more about that from you?
Of course. We also, it seems like it's quite a like a new, almost like a new discipline that I found that's coming up, and we're working now with people that, and it can be as simple as what makes sense to use gas for. We've grappled and we've trialed and errored so many different geysers, okay, because gas geysers, then I have to change the bottles a million times. So sometimes it's as simple as that, checking your shower heads and what you use in terms of gas versus solar versus, and becomes a very complicated question depending on the amount of students you have, what your bills are, what will work better in your area. And it can get very complicated to a point where the guys they put little devices now on our DB board that can check certain plugs, okay, what plug is actually pulling the most electricity, and they can put it on a sort of say, okay, well, that specific plug, I know it's for the TV, so if they've used X amount of electricity out of that TV, I'm expecting so much from the TV to play the whole day, but when it goes over that, something else is happening with that plug, and therefore this thing switches that plug off automatically. So there's very and there's leak detection for water as well. So this thing will say, hello, there's a leak, we suspect, and yeah, I didn't know I had a leak, and then they installed this thing, and this, like, okay, there's a leak, and we found the leak. And it'll also send you a little note on the app or SMS or something saying like, hello, there's something wrong here. So it can go all the way to that point, but it very much depends on your specific property and your problem. So it really is a matter of, I work, the guys that do that for me is the Sync Group, SYNC Group, Warren and them. You can look them up, or I can give you their details if you've got a big issue, and they can help to analyze your issue for you. So it's really, and they've even implemented now where they monitor. They have a, like you have a security call center, and you have someone monitoring ADT, checking cameras or whatever it is. They have a group, they have like a center, energy management center now, that literally physically sits and monitors the usage at different properties, so that they can immediately identify where the problem areas are, and then get that reduced for you. So you can go all out very simply.
Great. I mean, Jaco, I don't know whether you've got anything to add. I mean, just specifically, I know from buy-to-let, it's different. It's in the hand of the tenant, but I think it's more for people, you know, sort of managing a particular house or property and that kind of, and you want to keep your utilities down. I don't know whether you got any thoughts on that.
The moment that you move towards room rentals or towards multi-lets or so on, some of the electricity might fall on you. And it's when the electricity falls on you, like with student accommodation, where that becomes very, very important. Now, Rieta briefly touched on the geysers and the different geysers they are looking at. Scary fact, on a townhouse, your geyser makes up about 60 to 70% of your electricity bill. So that just shows you how much of your electricity usage sits on the geyser. And there's a lot of ways that one can manage whether it's the temperature of the water, like Rieta said, the type of shower heads that you use, maybe a shower head that uses less water and thus less water that needs to be warmed, so less electricity being used, geyser blankets, timers, gas heaters, gas geysers, solar geysers, whatever the case may be. Those are all strategies that one can apply. And then IoT, Internet of Things, I think is becoming huge in the energy management space. Rieta that was talking about the devices that they put on different plugs. Now, that is a small device that can communicate with you and that allows you to switch certain switches on and off, for example. I think that's going to become very big in our industry in the next decade, where we will be managing everything from our cell phones on properties, from the electricity usage per plug to the temperature of the geyser, water, whatever it may be.
Okay, great. I think that's good. I want to get to two questions quickly, then we can finish off, Rieta, because I just want to leave some time for everybody to engage with you, to obviously take the opportunity to see, you know, whether they could attend your seminars, come on your bus tour, Rieta, get your book, because there's some specials on here. After all, tomorrow is Black Friday, and we're talking 40% off deals in some cases, sometimes even more. So I want you to all take advantage of that. So, but Rieta, quickly, and it's a double-handed, double sort of question. One is the longevity of NSFAS financing on the one hand, and you're probably going to have to give us quite a quick answer because everybody can come on your bus tour and then you could go into great detail. And the second one is the minimum specifications and sizes for student accommodation that have to be complied with. In other words, the actual size. And I know we've seen lots of small units, so maybe if you can handle those two, maybe let's deal with the minimum spec size and then the longevity of NSFAS financing after that.
Okay, so the longevity of NSFAS, so I always say there's no guarantees. Anything can implode, can be gone tomorrow. But then I also say, look at what is the alternative. Okay, we saw what happened with this whole thing coming into effect when it went from a loan to a bursary. And what is going to happen if all of a sudden you tell 1 million students, because that's how many NSFAS students there are, you tell them that, sorry, you can't finish your studies anymore. You can't, this thing doesn't exist anymore. It's going to cause so much instability and disruption. They cannot just rip it away. They might, and we have seen restrictions coming into play, but it's good restrictions. It's not bad. Like this year, they put a limit now and they said you have to qualify for the bursary, you have to, or to qualify for accommodation, you have to be enrolled for at least 60 credits. So that means 3 subjects. Né? So if you're redoing or whatever one subject, you can't have accommodation. And that's, I mean, that's a very good incentive then for people to pass, isn't it? And they've stopped nursing and teaching because there are other bursaries offering that. So they are putting restrictions in. And I think the only reasonable way to reduce this thing is to put little, you know, breaks here and there, and obviously all the corruption that's going on there, but to put breaks in place in some of the areas. But if all of a sudden there's no more money from Treasury for that NSFAS fund, it means that this country has a lot more bigger issues than that, because that will be almost the last thing that they can take away, because the chaos that's going to erupt is going to be hectic. So every year with the restrictions, we roll with that, we implement, we carry on. So that's my view on that. And in terms of the minimum norms and standards, guys, it's literally gazetted. There's a formal policy document on it. You can Google it. It has a lot of things on it. They are basic, do all the big basic things, you know, to make people comfortable. Then in those cases, and especially the room sizes, it's very important to stick to. Other things like furniture, you can play around with a little bit. Like, you know, you need 10 people on a stove. I can't remember the ratio now, so please don't hold me to that. But you know, and you maybe have 11. Maybe you can get away with that because it can still be comfortable, but don't overcrowd. Don't, you know, do those sort of things. And then, yeah, then you'll be fine. So but read the Gazette because it's got a lot more information than what I'm going to give you now.
Okay,
it's
great.
simple enough to understand. It's not very complicated.
No, good stuff. Okay, so I think we have approached the end, but don't disappear, everybody, because there's some really great specials. It's a great opportunity, I think, now to reach out to both to Jaco and to Rita and to go on the seminars. And I know, Jaco, you've got, you know, you maybe even got some slide. I know you've got an investment seminar coming up on the 2nd of December in Johannesburg. And I know you always do it nationally, but you only got one more this year. And you've got a massive discount there. And I just want to say on Jaco's special, we haven't activated that now. And the reason is you can reach out to info@rei.co.za. That's on that. No, normally this is, so Jaco, I'm going to hand over to you, but you can do an info and you'll still get the same price. This carries on till midnight tomorrow night. So we will reach out to you with the right links because we didn't have it set up for Jaco in particular. We were only going to launch it tomorrow, but we're now going to do it right here and right now. Jaco, over to you. I know your first slide is up there. Hi, Jaco. I'm not sure where Jaco disappeared.
There we go. I'm back. Apologies.
Okay, you're back.
Awesome. Thanks, Neil.
No
so Neil has twisted my arm, ladies and gents, to give you discount that we normally would never give for this event. It's literally at cost that you are getting this. We are doing a phenomenal event on the 2nd of December. It's a full day event from 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock the afternoon. And we are going to talk about everything property, why invest in property, the types of properties you have to invest in, the different strategies that you can follow, structuring and the entities that you should use, accounting and tax in your property portfolio, the numbers around property investment, property management. There's so many modules or so many topics that we cover in this full day event. And we are actually giving a 40% discount on this seminar only for tomorrow. So make sure that you get onto Real Estate Investors on platforms and that you book yourself a ticket for the 2nd of December. There are limited tickets available for the event. So it's our last event for the year. So I'm looking forward to see many of you there. So make sure and to get yourself there. Then if you want to talk to me about your structuring. Now, when you invest in property, you don't want to own property in your own name. Never as a property investor do you want to own property in your own name. You need to have it in a company with a trust holding the shares. You need to have the right structure in place when you are investing in property. Now, often you've got properties on your own name already, and we need to look at restructuring that and putting that in the right entity. So one of the Black Friday specials that we are running, and it's not a 20% discount that you're getting tomorrow, it's a 40% discount once again that you are getting, is on a one-on-one consultation with me. So you can go onto the real estate investor platforms. You can book a consultation with me. We will send you a link to all the available slots for this year and early next year. You can then choose a suitable slot to sit with me, and you and I will sit for an hour, and we will go through your structuring needs and exactly what you need to do when it comes to structuring of your property portfolio. And then last but not least, we are running a great combo special on my book, Prosperity Through Property, and my Property Investor Articles booklet, with 30 of the articles that I've written for Real Estate Investor magazine over the last number of years. And those two books you can get also for a 40% discount only for tomorrow. So make sure to get onto the Real Estate Investor platforms and to book those products for you. Thanks, Neil.
Okay, no, thank you very much, Jaco. And Rita, I know you've also got some offer. You've got a bus tour, and and I see that there's still the questions. I'm just going to say the people that have posted questions, I'm going to ask Rita to reach out to you directly. So so she will reach out to you directly because we've run out of time. But what I want to do is encourage you to come along on a bus tour, because I tell you what, we did a bus tour earlier on in mid-year in Cape Town. We had a fantastic turnout, and really you learned so much being on the ground and actually visiting the different accommodations. So I'm encouraging all those people specifically on the student accommodation who are interested on that side and it's over to you now, Rita. You've also got some specials, and your bus tour is in Cape Town. I think it's on. Well, it is on. It's on Friday, the 8th of December. It's Friday, the 8th of December, and you include a night of accommodation. So if anybody wants to come down from Johannesburg, you got a special. And I know if you're in Cape Town, then you just pay for the bus tour. Do you want to just run through those quickly? Because I know you're offering like 70 and 77 and 40% on your book and course. So do you want to just run through some of those quickly? The links are open for that now. And as I say, for those who want to go ahead with Jaco's one, and you have a problem with the link, which we didn't know where to get it straight away, but it's on info@rei.co.za. If it does not work, or you can actually just go directly on those links, but you're not going to get the discount that's been offered on today and tomorrow, and it closes midnight tomorrow night. So over to you, Rita.
Cool. Yeah. So on the 8th of December, I'm going to do the bus tour. I've had a lot of people asking me about that. So yeah, because they couldn't attend the previous one. But basically what it includes is I thought, flip, if you want to start, come do that, because it is the best practical experience. You can ask all of your questions. You're going to get ideas about, how to do a bed and breakfast, how to do a block of flats, how to do a house, how to do an office conversion. So we're going to physically visit all of those sites, and it's going to be nice because the students aren't going to be here. So we have free reign of everything, which is going to be awesome. And then basically what that includes, it's a 70% off special. And then you get the book, you get 2 consultations, the online course, and then the tour obviously itself, 1 night accommodation, which can be on the 7th or the 8th. You can choose the night before, the night after, breakfast at the bed and breakfast. And don't worry, it's not a student house. It is a student house, but it's not, it's like a proper bed and breakfast. It's a really, really nice place. The one with the pool that you saw earlier. And then, yeah, so all of that basically, normally, if I add up all the individual prices, that's normally around 8,000 rands. So for today until Sunday, it's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5. So easy to remember, 2, 3, 4, 5 for all of that. Yeah, and then that is about, I think, the simplest way.
70%.
We can slice and dice it with accommodation, without accommodation, but I thought let me keep it to that.
No, great. And I mean, there's 1,000 rand just for the bus tour. I mean, people don't want the accommodation and the breakfast and all that kind of stuff, but your whole package tour, because you're getting so much for that package. And, really, I think both Jaco and Rita have actually pulled out the stops today, guys. So really, I encourage you. And a lot of you have asked some incredible questions here. There's some, and we all need assistance. We all need a guide. We all need a mentor. And I tell you what, you just get to the end line so much quicker. And with the help of Jaco and Rita, I mean, they come highly recommended, guys. I mean, we've worked with them for a long time. They've got fantastic success stories to tell you. And so anybody that's already either an existing investor and you're probably a little bit stuck now and you want to get to the next level, you can go to Jaco too on the buy-to-let side. And the same thing on the student accommodation side. Or if you just want to start out, and then Jaco will show you how to start out on the buy-to-let. Or if it's on Rita starting at it, she will show you how. So we've got books. So Rita's book is 750. That's the course and the book, which we're running, by the way, in Cape Town and Johannesburg next year, you'll never get it for that price again. It's normally 2,000 Rand. We're giving it to you for 750 just for today and for Black Friday special tomorrow. And then, as she mentioned, it's 2,345 for a student accommodation full package. That's 70%, and a student accommodation starter bundle, which is a book, 2 consultations, online course. It's only 77. So thanks very much. I see we've got some. Kanya, thank you very much for your email. We're going to reach out to you as well. And then, of course, for Yaku, I just want to re-mention what Yaku's offer is. He's normally we're looking at 3,500 Rand. He's offering it for 2,070. It's 40% discount, and his book is only 228 Rand, normally 380, and one-on-one structuring and investment is normally 1,200, 720. So both of you, so everybody, I just wanted to thank you just for being here. It's been really a great discussion. It's always nice having both of you on the show, and I encourage you, the audience, and you all sticking around. I can see you all there, you all here. You want help. You want to go to the next level. So I want to thank you all for joining us today. It's really been fantastic, and I want to encourage you to take advantage of our specials that we've got. They won't come around again, guys. You know, we've got this thing called inflation, and it just eats away at everything. So today is the day that you need to take advantage. It's Black Friday tomorrow, people. It's Thanksgiving Day today. So let's be thankful. And tomorrow, let's just take it when it's on the table. So that brings us to the end of another great, insightful webinar. Thank you to our panelists, Yaku and Rita. It's been fantastic to share your valuable insights. Your investment expertise, your knowledge and experiences have been really, really very insightful. And to our audience, we appreciate your active participation and your engagement throughout this webinar. It's been wonderful having you. We've gained so much valuable knowledge. We're coming towards the end of the year. It's going to be really exciting. I'm really excited for next year, but I'm still excited for what's going to happen till the end of this year. And now this is the time you still have to keep on going, guys. I tell you what, I can feel we're turning around almost back to 2001. If you want to buy real estate, today is the time to buy, because it shows over a period of time real estate appreciates in exceptional value. So before we close, I just want to remind you, our audience, we've got 2 more webinars. There's one which is a link. It's going to go on the bottom of your page now. And we haven't announced who the guests are yet, but it's a real estate investor special investment webinar. So we encourage you to obviously, sign up now, and you just click on the link below, or you just go register on the REI website. And so once again, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to both our panelists, Rita and Yaku, and to you, our audience. It's wonderful having you. Until we reconvene next week, Wednesday at 12 o'clock, this is Neil Peterson along with Yaku and with Rita. Wonderful having with these parting words. May all your real estate investments bring you boundless success and wealth. And I can see somehow, Rita, there's a party in the background with the students or something. They must have heard the wonderful offer that came in. Okay, everybody, lovely seeing you. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a wonderful weekend, a wonderful day, and awesome having you. We hope to see you at Yaku and Rita's events. Thank you very much, everybody.